Hi guys, it's Emma. This video is going to be about the Bill of Rights, which I talked about briefly in my first video about the Constitution. But basically, the Bill of Rights is the final section of the Constitution and consists of the first 10 amendments made to the original document with a focus on individual rights and liberties of individuals. The Founding Fathers wanted to make sure that the individual liberties of people were explicitly outlined in the founding framework of the country. So the First Amendment is all about free speech. So people are free to practice whatever religion they want, and the government is not allowed to interfere with that or pass laws that discriminate against certain religions. Also, it emphasizes freedom of speech and freedom of the press, so anyone is allowed to say whatever they want, even criticize the government, as long as they're not causing harm or distress to anyone else. People can also come together to protest peacefully if they believe that the government should be making a change. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, so people have the right to own weapons. Obviously, this has become very controversial since then because weapons have changed over time, but it is written into the Constitution. The original purpose of this amendment was to make sure that people were able to protect themselves and organize into militias against threats, mainly against a tyrannical government. The Third Amendment is about quartering soldiers. And this one's a bit outdated, but basically the government can't force you to let soldiers live in your house. This was something done more often in the 18th century. So the Fourth Amendment is against search and seizure. So basically, the police can't search your things without proof that they have a good reason. So they'll need a warrant to come into your house and such. The Fifth Amendment is about due process of law. So it talks all about the fair way to convict someone of a crime. First, it emphasizes the right to a trial by jury. Also, it says that you can't be tried for the same crime twice differently with a different jury. You also can't be forced to testify against yourself. So when people say, I plead the Fifth, this means that they're exercising their Fifth Amendment right not to testify against themselves. Also, the government can't take your property unless you are justly paid in return. The Sixth Amendment is about the right to a speedy and public trial. This has to occur in the state where the crime was committed. You also have the right to defend yourself, and you have the right to a lawyer. The government should provide one if you can't afford it. The Seventh Amendment basically preserves the right to a jury in cases being settled between two people instead of one person in the state, so a civil case instead of a criminal case. The Eighth Amendment is about cruel and unusual punishment. So bail can't be unreasonable, and cruel and unusual punishment is legal, like torture, even if you're convicted of a crime. The Ninth Amendment is about additional rights. So even though these are the only rights explicitly outlined in the Constitution, you still have others, and the government can't use the fact that something isn't explicitly said in the Constitution as an excuse for not granting you a right. And finally, the 10th Amendment, which is about states' rights. Any power not given to the federal government explicitly by the Constitution is given to the states to decide. And this protects states' rights because back then the United States were a more loosely gathered body of individual states. And then again, main thing important to remember about the Bill of Rights is that these were the most important liberties that the Founding Fathers sought to protect. But there's been many others that society has generated since then.